Thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member, and good morning, Secretary Kelly. It's nice to see you again. There is a specific program within ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Division that focuses on bringing law enforcement scrutiny to the adjudications of visa applications. The program is called the Visa Security Program. Right now, in 30 United States diplomatic posts around the world, specially trained law enforcement teams are dispatched to provide recommendations to the State Department's consular offices in order to help these diplomats make informed decisions about whether to grant a visa to a foreign national. Bringing law enforcement skills to the visa adjudication process makes a lot of sense, at least to me. Hope it does to you too. And it should probably be, I think, implemented across the board for all diplomatic posts that issue visas. We're working on possible legislation on this topic, so I wanted to ask two questions. Would you support the expansion of visa security teams to more diplomatic posts? And is the visa security team fully funded in the fiscal year 18 budget request?
I'll have to check on the funding issue, but I think anything we can do overseas to make better decisions about who might come to the United States for whatever reason is a good idea and should be reinforced, and we should be constantly looking at even better ways to do that. But I'll get back to you on the funding if that's all right.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. I wanted now to move to a different topic. As you know, as well as anyone, we have seen multiple incidents of violence at the public or non-sterile areas of our airports. In 2013, a TSA officer at Los Angeles International Airport was murdered at the TSA checkpoint by a disturbed individual, while earlier this year, an active shooter killed 5 people near the baggage claim area of the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Last spring, suicide explosions occurred in the public areas at Brussels Airport, and Istanbul Ataturk Airport killed 61 people. Yet in the President's initial budget release, the federal support for securing the public portions of airports has been gutted. The budget cuts the Viper teams, the Behavioral Detection Officer program is eliminated, and TSA grants to reimburse state and local law enforcement for their patrols at airports are also being slashed. So amid this increasing threat to our airports, why is the administration cutting these key counterterrorism measures?
The Viper teams, for sure, are something that I'm working very hard to save.
Okay.
As far as the grants go, and this doesn't fall under the sanctuary city thing or anything like that, I think the expectation is that parking lots in areas outside the immediate, the TSA security zones really belong to the state and local. The airports are great generators of revenue necessary for various states, and I think the thinking there is that the state and local folks need to, I'm familiar with the Boston airport. I mean, there's more state police that, kind of, cycle around that airport, and not to mention Boston police. So I think that the thinking is that for outside the security perimeter that's established by TSA, that would belong more to the local community.
Well, as a former governor, I might suggest that we discuss that a little bit more, because I know how much additional work securing even the non-sterile areas are, and it's a partnership to be sure, but I am very concerned. Money is not growing in trees in our state budgets, and so I think it's something we really need to look at, because the overall security climate at airports, I think, will really be compromised with those grants. So I'd look forward to discussing that with you more. I'll submit for the record a question on foreign airport staff screening. But I did want to talk a little bit about DHS and cyber defenses. In an effort to strengthen its cyber defense, the Department of Defense recently launched 2 programs to capitalize on the vast network of U.S. computer security researchers who may not want to work for the federal government but still want to help secure our nation from cyber threats. The first was a pilot program called Hack the Pentagon, and it provided hackers across the country with legal authorization to spot vulnerabilities in DoD networks in return for cash payments. The second program was the establishment of a vulnerability disclosure policy which provides a legal avenue for these hackers to hunt for and report vulnerabilities in DoD networks without fear of prosecution. I think these are really forward-thinking cyber programs that leverage an untapped resource in the United States. So the question is, has DHS considered implementing similar programs?
One of the things, I don't know if the senator was here, one of the things now that I have a deputy,
Yeah.
this is a critically important issue. I mean, it goes without saying.
Right.
Now we have a deputy, this is another one of those things, the whole cyber enterprise within DHS. But another thing we're already doing, and that is, that's one of the reasons I was in Seattle recently, is reaching out, as is, I think, all of government, reaching out to the, commercial sector, because the answers are just not, they're definitely not just in the federal government.
Right.
They're everywhere. So Elaine Duke, now that she is confirmed, and thank you for that, will take this on among a number of other things that she'll focus on.
Great.
But I'm with you on this, and I was not aware of these programs where I am now, and I can get back to you, come over
Yeah.
and talk to you about it.
I think it would be great, just because, again, we have a lot of people with talent and skill and interest in serving their country who may not
Right.
want to come work for the government, but we really need their skill and their insight. Last area I wanted to touch on, I know you referenced this morning the President's Commission on the Opioid Epidemic, and I was glad to see you were there at the listening session on opioids and substance misuse last week. And you and I have spoken about the issue before, both in our one-on-one meeting and at your confirmation hearing, and we've agreed on the need to crack down on illegal opioids while also dealing with the demand side of the problem through prevention, treatment, and recovery efforts. So I'm looking to find out more about the goals of the President's new commission on combating drug addiction and the opioid crisis, which he established by executive order last week. And I want to ensure that the rhetoric here is met by real action that reflects the seriousness of this crisis. The news reporting on the commission's been a little scattered, so the first question for you is, are you a member of the commission?
I am.
Okay, that's great to know. And my understanding from the executive order is that the commission has 90 days to make a report on interim recommendations. Do you know what the process will be to get to those recommendations?
I don't. It's in the staff realm, but let me just say, I mean, this, to say the least, is a passion for me.
Yeah.
And in my entire time in Southern Command, I talked about this to the point of getting in a fair amount of, getting crosswise with a fair amount of people in the White House and in other parts of our government.
Yeah.
The beauty, I think, of this president was, and I don't know if you were in the room when I made this comment before, but one of the first conversations I had with President-elect Trump was this issue of drugs, drug demand, what it does to not only our own country, but to certainly the hemisphere.
Sure.
And the money it makes available for corruption and terrorism and things like that. And he has taken this bit, and he's going to make this work, I believe. So it's a comprehensive, everything from drug demand reduction to rehab, to law enforcement, to helping out the Central American republics, to working with Mexico on the heroin production. We have great partners down there. So it's this very long 2,000-mile, if you will, process of trying to get at the drug demand.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate your presence on the commission. I look forward to working with you on it. And I'd put a plug in for essential benefits in our health care so that people can get the treatment that they need. Thanks.